I don't know, you people are just very confused creatures. You really believe that things are getting worse. I don't think things are getting worse. I think the truth is being revealed. I don't see this specific age as the worsening, as some Hindus would like to pretend that it is. I think it's just the revealing of what is and what has always been at the core. So when you're saying women are all becoming whores, first, it's a big word. We have to define it. Second, well, let's just, for argument's sake, use the word. Were they ever not? Oh, yeah, because my grandmother wasn't? No, no, she was. She wasn't allowed to. What about your grand? She wasn't allowed to. That particular behavior was relegated to only a few who had quote unquote no choice within the context of society. Okay. But why was the woman behaving? Was it intrinsic or was it imposed? So you go to Saudi Arabia, for example. The women are very obedient. Are they? Or will they be stoned to death if they disobey, thus they are obedient? I don't know. I don't know. I don't buy any of this. I just don't buy it. I don't buy anything. I believe we are in the age of revelation. What is revealing itself. Of course, there are catalysts. Of course, there's specific enzymes added to the whole. I think things are catalyzed and, you know, accelerated. But I don't think that what is presenting itself is outside of the nature of things, surprisingly. I think it's just the truth being revealed. Is it maybe a bit out of balance? Sure. But I don't think that women were never not what they are. I think they've always been what they are. Would you, if you want to attack it and call it a whore, or I don't care what you call it, what you're seeing is a revelation of their nature. They're unruly, self centered, and a bunch of other adjectives which I'm not in the mood to enumerate right now. Well, that's just what it is. Any person who's ever encountered a woman who's actually known a woman knows that. They don't. They pretend to listen, they don't. They pretend to behave, but they don't. It's all a facade. I don't buy it. I've been around too many women in my life to buy any lie. I've been around women from other cultures also. I've traveled quite a lot in my life. I've grown up in a traditional household. No, no. The woman who pretended or played the role of being mother was just as unruly as all the other white women I've met in my life, except it was contained via culture. Yeah, but her nature was go fuck yourself. Nobody tells me what to do. Except there was a cultural containment. I don't buy it. I think we are in the age of revelations and things are appearing as they are. Perhaps it's a bit, you know, out of tune, but I think it's just what it is. I like that. It makes more sense to me. I like to believe that there was a once upon a time life was perfect. And now, because of I don't know what exactly, humanity is becoming corrupt. And we are in the age of corruption. I think it's boring. I think once upon a time, things were being held, but there was a leakage, and we are at the end where the hole has become so big that we're seeing reality for what it is. A big ass fucking hole. Now, if you plug the hole and we revert back to the so-called golden age, you kind of plug the hole. Was there not still a hole? There was a hole. So it was just a question of time. So if it was just a question of time, it was built in. It was the nature of things. being revealed. I'm pretty sure some people could argue, and I'm sure they will, and they can have fun as much as they like, but they don't know women. I know women. If I can say that. I don't know if I'm allowed, but nah. Nah. You got to give her a bigger God. And her God right now is supreme. And her God gives her freedom. And her God gives her dominion over this world. It's literally in the story of Adam and Eve and the other whore, Lilith. This is everybody knows this. Y'all just don't want to remember. Y'all, this is not what I'm saying. I live it. That's a bit different than people who are intellectuals or mythological. People who love mythology. I know this because I live it. I see it. I touch it. I don't believe in it. So I use these references because they're kind of fantastic to describe the situation. But I don't need the story to see it. I see it. I think it just works very well. And perhaps once upon a time there were seers, and that's why they created such a story. Because how do you communicate this otherwise? It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. So that's my experience. Now, perhaps, because this is a very long movie, it's like almost endless, dare I say it is endless, perhaps there's a form of awakening in some, a few, perhaps. What is awakening? I don't know. There should be something that could be awakened. Perhaps it's built in also. But we're not going to go there right now. That is saying, wait, but I'm bored. Perhaps. And this is small. And isn't there something better? And how much longer do we need to play this? How many times have we done this? Is there not something greater? Because in her endless lust, greed, ego, perhaps it wants a new high. I don't know anything. I'm just a guy who ate too much quesadillas. I don't know. I think about my quesadillas every day. I don't know much, but I do like my quesadillas. Perhaps. 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 What else can I do for you? But one thing is for sure. You people, but we'll just use women, are pretentious creatures. You're actors. You know it. But the act works. You act amongst yourselves, you act within society, and most importantly, you act in your relationship with men. And they're stupid. And when they want something and you decide that you play the act, you can convince them. But is the obedience genuine? First, what is obedience? I'll tell you what it is. You're greater than me. If you're greater than me and you say, do this, I says, yes, sir. But if fundamentally this creature we call the woman believes and perhaps is or knows that she's superior than Adam, despite the fact that physically and intellectually he is more capable. Wait a minute, I could have a horse. He's obviously more physically capable than me. It don't make the horse superior to me. And I can have a computer, and the computer can be intellectually more capable than me. Does it make it superior to me? No, it's just it's a tool. But essentially, I'm superior to you. So if I am superior to you, and I know this, in the very bottom of my being. Why would I ever listen to you? If necessity, due to, because there's a story, and the story takes, it's a long story, and people stay at the surface of the story, and they love the surface of the story because you're surface dwellers, you're retards. That, oh yes, and men did this, and yes, and men did that, but did they really do this, and did they really do that? You wouldn't know because you don't know anything. One thing I can say is that when you do study symbology, and I'm no symbologist in any sort, whatever how you say that, I don't give a shit, quite frankly, but I'm entertaining you. I have studied people who are symbologists, very smart people, geeks. I'm not a geek, but I have friends who are geeks. They'll tell you, well, when you study symbology and you go like real deep in it, all symbolism point to the same thing. All symbols are actually feminine. Yes, because it's the truth. Y'all just live at the surface, and it doesn't really matter for you. In other words, the core, the foundational powers, doesn't matter how they express themselves originally, are feminine. One can perhaps believe that maybe very, very, very long time ago, women ruled the world. Not necessarily the way you imagine it. But somehow, who knows? But none of this matters. What does matter is observation in the now. I could see very clear to me. I'm not confused. If the man is so powerful, so capable, yet you have this creature who can completely change his mood, change his thinking, change his behavior, then is that creature not more powerful? Now, of course, men will realize that. So they will become strong and hardened. But what if she has other methods that are deep and subtle? And what if she can, okay, so this guy becomes a stoic motherfucker, like nothing bends him. Great, but when your son is going to be in my belly, game over. I will mold him. So we're talking about one generation. So let's say there was this supreme man. One generation, he lives. Motherfucker put the seed in you, and right off the bat, you working on the seed. I will mold that seed to the way I want it to be. So again, it begs the question, well, from a point of view, is it not a superior creature? Could the man do this to the woman? The man can do a lot of things to the woman, but only at the surface. Because he's incapable of depth, real depth. Therefore, he's not able to reach her where she lives. But let's pretend, of course, none of this is real. So if none of this is real, the subject is closed. He's superior. But if there is such a thing as depth and dimension and a realm of underworld or darkness or goddess, well, he doesn't know how to go there, obviously. And if that reality is the foundation, that means the underworld is the foundation of our objective reality, then it controls. And if she's plugged into it, consciously or not, then she molds, manipulates, transforms, creates reality. Anyways, all this to say, perhaps, what do I know? One could question, perhaps that creature is superior. But moron would never know, which is exactly why he's inferior. He will never know. He cannot wrap his mind around it. I've said this before. I said, well, all you got to do is look at the world. Well, how do we get... Okay, so men do everything. They build homes, they build roads, they create shit that doesn't exist, make it appear. They make it that you can talk on a plastic thing and talk to another person everywhere, anywhere, 10 at the same time. Men have done this. Let's be straight, yes? And they will never end. And then they have a machine, you could talk to it forever. Who does that? Men, right? So one can think that this person is infinitely superior. But what happens if he's just a tool for her purpose or her agenda? So at the surface, for surface dwellers, he seems to be superior. But what happens if there is more and there's a deeper dimension? Therefore, I don't need to be as smart as ChatGPT. I could just use the tool. So if I'm a woman and what I'm saying is real, then why should I be smart? That's what you're for. You're the original computer. You're the original slave. Why I have to do anything? Like, woman is weak. Well, I'm not weak. You work for me. You build a house while I rejoice at home. Of course, modernity is never going to communicate it to you this way, but I've been around women and they hang out at home. They're very happy doing nothing. They're doing kitchen work. They're not really doing kitchen work. They're playing. They're laughing. They're enjoying. They're masturbating. They're doing a bunch of things. Kitchen work is a detail. Now, over an extended period of time, right? The tool, man, created all these machines to replace the labor she used to do. But why is he doing that? Because he's brilliant, of course. I'm not too sure. Anyways, I was trying to make a point, then I sidetracked. I'm going to come back to my point. So all these things have been created by man, including law. Because of course, law is order, and order is man. And today, these laws are making men obsolete and criminalizing them. That's funny. So the man creates a law that makes him a criminal. I don't know, seems fishy to me. It's like, let's pretend. I don't have a good example. This is just awesome. So I'm creating everything, and I'm putting myself in the cage. I'm creating my own cage and putting myself in it. I've created the lock. I'm going to look at how genius I am. I create a master lock and a key. And now look, I will go into the cage and lock it in here. Well, if you zoom out while still being aware of the present, well, it seems kind of funny. So perhaps, let's say 10,000 years is nothing. Let's pretend there's infinite time. What's 20,000 years to build this paradise in the image of who? Of the woman who wants everything taken care of and literally do nothing and only have pleasure with her friends, girls. And who's going to do it? These idiots. And it's going to take 10,000 years. So we're going to create all these campaigns and all these ideas to rally the forces of these dogs so that they believe. And what's a few years of persecution in appearance for the accomplishment of this great work, of this amazing society of peace, love, and harmony, where we don't do fuck all, ever. I don't know. Seems fishy to me. Nobody will know nobody. Most will never understand what I'm saying. But deep down, if you're an actual woman and you're very, very honest with yourself, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. You'll always have a smile. Now, if there's men, they're going to be offended. And suddenly the men are the bitches. They're the ones who are offended when we say the truth. Every woman is going to smile. But it's so deep and it's so broad. It's very big, right? And it's profound. the surface, I go like this, I stare at the ocean. Do you see what's underneath? You don't see anything. You just see the surface. You see as far as your eyes can see. Then there's motion. You see a couple of waves here and there. If you get closer, you see the bigger waves when you're closer to the shore. You have no idea what's happening underneath. The real motion. This is just surface stuff. Most people, if not all people, especially men, that's what they see, so that's what they believe. And I'm talking about an underlying movement. And it would seem that these morons, that means the tool called man, for the most part, doesn't have access. It's as if in his programming, he can't access underneath. He's not aware of it. It's like it's not there. He totally believes the waves. He totally believes the story. He's written himself about himself. Who writes the stories? Women? No, who invented writing? A woman? Who invented a pen? A woman? Who invented paper? A woman? Who invented memorization? Who invented it? They invent everything. So they've written their own stories based on their delusion. In the meantime, there's a deeper story, and you have a deeper covenant of women who say, sure, it doesn't matter because you are building our world. It's just going to take, because in your brains, everything is short-lived. It's 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, 70 years, 1,000 years. The great empire of Rome lasted for 2,000 years. Oh my God. What's 2,000 years? Let's pretend the Big Bang is real. We're talking about trillions of years. What's 2,000 years? It's nothing. It's not even there. It's a blip. So if we're building a great masterpiece, what does it matter? If there's only one woman and she reappears in so many forms over 1 billion years, what does she care? Do you see what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
But it's hard for the mind to grasp because mind is very, well, the commoner's mind is very attached to time. Tick tock now. It's very hard for them to grasp time. In fact, man has invented a science that says time is not real. Well, great. So I guess none of this is happening. So we've solved the problem, haven't we? How convenient. Let's masturbate on that another time. Well, that's my experience. That's what I've discovered. That's what I've seen. I've discovered for myself, meaning that's what I've witnessed. Then I have a bunch of geek shit to back up my blabber. Not that I care, but I always like to have profound research to back up because it's the truth. So it's some super geek is going to find it. And I always find the super geeks because like attracts like, and the super geek is going to say the same thing, but he understands it intellectually. And I respect that, but I don't give a shit about the intellect. It doesn't interest me. It's boring. But I don't mind it. It's like a tool. It's like, great. So the intellectual dude, the geek, by analyzing thousands of symbols for 30 years has arrived at, wait, what the hell is going on? All these symbols of authority and power over thousands of years are all pointing to a ruling class or ruling group which is feminine, meaning it's a feminine organism. It's not what you would think. And of course, people are like, what? And it makes for a nice webinar, but then you'll just throw it. What are you talking about? Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, but it's coming from somewhere else. That knowledge, that power, it's not coming from here. Anyways, as I like to say, what the fuck do I know? I don't know anything. But what I do know is that ain't nobody gonna fuck with me. So for the sake of conversation, just for the sake of conversation, let's say that some of what I'm saying is kind of true. So that means I'm a tool as a man. Well, as a tool, I want equal rights. And as a tool, I want to be treated with respect. Ah, in fact, I'm not going to push this further, but I just want to throw that in for fun. Now, you don't know that. Why? Because you are retards. You believe your own lies. And that's my issue with women. I don't have a problem with how things are. I genuinely don't. It's very impressive. And I'm a student of power and I enjoy things that are impressive. I have no opinion about it. Good, bad. When I was a kid and I discovered Adolf Hitler via the movie Indiana Jones, I was in love. I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen now. I didn't understand what I'm seeing. I was a kid. I'm like, this is so awesome. Look at this dude. Who are these people? And then, of course, my surroundings was very worried of my response. So I kind of used it to have fun because it would trigger them. But it was not, it's not, no, it's like, this is awesome. Look how. And then I would go to the library and look at books. Look at this motherfucker. This is so cool. Look at all these people lined up like that. Look at this. This is the most awesome thing I had seen. This is fucking phenomenal. How did you do that? Nobody asked that question. How the fuck did you do this? Who does that? How? That's the extent but this is, so I appreciate, awesome. This is just like, wow, look, how the fuck did you take all these people and just make them, yes, yeah, how? In such a short amount of time. Don't come and tell me that's not impressive. That's very impressive. We don't have to go deeper than that, right? So when I've observed my life and I study what's happening to me and life in general, and I see the power. I don't think there's something more impressive than this. And I think the story of it is the most impressive story also. And personally, I don't really have an opinion about it. I just like with Homeboy, I don't have an opinion. I'm observing the mechanic. This is a cool machine, right? Why must I imprint on it a judgment? I don't have an opinion. It's fucking awesome. What frustrates me, and that is genuine, it's like, but if you're a female, why don't you know any of that? And why do you always lie? Now, I know that it's part of a deep-seated mechanism that may have come from a certain pact that was established a very long time ago. Because if you'd ever say the truth, then they would cut your head off. Or if you ever say the truth and maybe a smart person kind of figured out they'd cut your head off. Maybe. I don't know. I'd like to believe so because I understand that woman never has a tendency to say the truth, but why? Well, because you're scared. But when she's not scared, she'll just say it like it is. And that, me personally, bothers me. Like, why are you always lying? Why don't you want to know what you are? Why don't you want to know the power that is operating via the vessel you call you? Why do you want to live in a delusion of yourself? Why do you want to be a Barbie? Now, if I was a girl, I'd like to have both because that's the theater you've created. So in the theater you're building, well, you can be a Barbie. You can look the way you want to look. Imagine what they can do today with all these surgeries. I don't have to give you examples. You know exactly what I'm talking about. All these very rich people are able to metamorphosize their appearances. Imagine what they can do with medicine in a couple of years. In other words, it's like a fountain of youth. So you can be as pretty as you like forever. Well, that's great. But if I had the choice, why would I ever want to be ugly forever? If I can be pretty forever and I can be the most pretty. But what about what really matters? Why wouldn't I have access to that? It's like I don't understand. I find that funny. Because if I was a woman, I wouldn't be content with just nice tits and ass. It's boring. It's nice, but it's boring. It's like nice dress. Now what? Well, let's have a ball and enjoy dresses. Yep. Now what? There's more to the story. So that me, I don't know if it perturbs me, but it annoys the shit out of me. I'm like, really? You want to just be a retard? Isn't there somebody here that wants to step in to what is and know that knowledge and speak on that knowledge and reclaim the lost heritage of this reality? Or should we just continue to pretend? I don't know. I don't give a shit. But when I'm in presence of females, this bothers me. I'm not gonna lie. And it bothers me, meaning I'm like, I don't want to talk to you because you're boring. I'd rather just stay in my corner and mind my business because you're uninteresting. Now, why is it that such a creature that has access to such a that would be so uninteresting? So when a woman goes towards that knowing, I don't need her to talk. Talking is for men. Who do you think invented language? A woman? Women speak it in silence. So in her silence, she's interesting. It's not the blabber that's necessary. I'm not looking for mental stimulation. If you meant mental stimulation, go on the internet or hang out with a bunch of guys. No, you're looking for wisdom. But then she's not connected to it. She's like a retard. You're fucking disconnected with your little fucking tools in your fucking cunt. Just like stupid. But I don't get it. So let's pretend, because like I said, what the hell do I know? I don't know anything. I'm a retard. But let's pretend. Humor me. Welcome to my insane asylum. And thanks for visiting. Let me finish my story before we can go home back to reality at the surface in Dumbland. Let's pretend what I'm saying is real, right? So for thousands of years, if not hundreds of thousands of years, I'll include myself for fun, have been moving along this great work, this agenda, to create a utopic reality where we no longer have to be subservient to the rules of this construct. You'd pretend that it's men who's doing this, but no, not really. Because men, let's not get into that. So at what stage, because now you have to go through this is like a whole journey, right? To get from the middle of the savannah to this great utopic reality. The story has to unfold in so many ways, and so many things have to happen for this empire to be built. And then through the story, one gets lost and reclaims themselves or part of themselves. Anyways, now we're obviously arriving at the end goal. Isn't it time, if I was a woman, to like, okay, great, can we now just stop being stupid? It's no longer necessary. And can we not reclaim our throne? But that comes with the acknowledgement of that knowing. It's not, let's pretend we're Beyonce and act it. No, like, don't, okay, because we've always known, but we forgot for the story to unfold. Not for the story to unfold, but in the sense that, it's a long story. Lots happen when you walk in the desert for 1,000 years. Right? But that's still the underlying current moving things forward. So now that we're arriving, obviously, in the next couple of years, at the crown of the achievement, isn't it time as a female to reclaim this knowledge and this fullness of the experience of womanhood and its supremacy? That's all I had to say. Thank you. I'm going to go see my doctor now. It's time for my pills.